Welcome to the investigation. Most people see this coin and assume it's just a failed experiment. But what if I told you that hidden within this ordinary-looking dollar is four of the most misunderstood treasures in modern American numismatics? First coin. Small mint mark tucked beneath the date can transform an ordinary-looking dollar into one of the most fascinating modern American coins ever produced. The 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar represents far more than another issue from the United States Mint, because it marks a turning point in American numismatic history as the first circulating U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real woman rather than the symbolic image of liberty. Millions of people handled these dollars without realizing they were witnessing the beginning of a completely new chapter in American coinage. Decades later, collectors continue to study the San Francisco issues with remarkable attention, searching for subtle differences in strike quality, finish, and preservation that separate common examples from genuinely exceptional survivors. As this story unfolds, you'll discover what authenticated examples have brought at major auctions, why some pieces command dramatically higher prices than others, and how professional grading, rarity, originality, and collector demand ultimately determine whether a 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar is simply a historic keepsake or a remarkable collectible worthy of serious attention. The origins of the Susan B. Anthony dollar can be traced to the economic realities of the late 1970s, when the United States government wanted a smaller, lighter dollar coin that could circulate more efficiently than the large Eisenhower dollar. Rising production costs, increasing vending machine use, and a desire for a practical circulating dollar all contributed to the decision to introduce an entirely new design in 1979. Congress approved the concept while also recognizing the growing importance of honoring influential Americans whose contributions had shaped the nation. Susan B. Anthony, one of the leading figures of the women's suffrage movement, became the obvious choice. Her lifelong dedication to equal voting rights made her one of the most respected reformers in American history, and placing her portrait on a circulating coin was both historically meaningful and culturally significant. The San Francisco Mint struck special collector-quality versions carrying the S mint mark, making these coins immediately distinct from those produced for circulation at Philadelphia and Denver. While the Anthony dollar struggled to gain public acceptance because many people confused it with the quarter, its historical importance only grew as the years passed, ensuring that collectors would eventually recognize the significance of this groundbreaking issue. Examining the coin itself reveals careful engineering and artistic detail. The 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, weighs 8.1 grams, and features an 11-sided inner border that creates the illusion of a hendecagonal shape while maintaining a round edge. Its composition consists of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving the coin its familiar silver-colored appearance without containing any silver. The reeded edge serves both aesthetic and anti-counterfeiting purposes. The obverse, designed by chief engraver Frank Gasparo, presents a dignified portrait of Susan B. Anthony facing right, accompanied by the inscriptions "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date beneath her bust, with the small S mint mark identifying its San Francisco origin. The reverse continues the Apollo 11-inspired design first introduced on the Eisenhower dollar, depicting a bald eagle landing on the moon while clutching an olive branch, with Earth visible in the distance. This remarkable pairing of Anthony's portrait and America's lunar achievement creates an unexpected bridge between the nation's democratic ideals and one of its greatest scientific accomplishments. For collectors, not every 1979 dollar is created equal, and understanding the different finishes is essential before discussing value. San Francisco produced both proof and circulation quality issues during 1979, but the proof coins are especially significant because they exist in two major varieties distinguished by the appearance of the S mint mark. Early proof dies display what collectors call the Type 1 or filled S, where the mint mark appears rounded and less defined. Later in the year, improved punches created the much sharper Type 2 Clear S, a variety that immediately attracted attention because of its noticeably cleaner shape. Since relatively few Type 2 proofs were produced before the year ended, they became one of the most desirable modern mint mark varieties in US coinage. Even among circulation strike examples, collectors carefully evaluate strike sharpness, luster, surface preservation, and the absence of distracting contact marks. Because the Antony dollar was widely stored in bags and rolls, many examples suffered abrasions before ever reaching circulation, making truly pristine survivors surprisingly elusive despite the coin's substantial overall mintage. As grading standards become more demanding, small differences in preservation can dramatically influence collector interest. Professional grading services evaluate these dollars on the internationally recognized Sheldon scale, ranging from Poor 1 through Mint State 70 or Proof 70. A coin certified as MS65 may appear attractive to most observers, yet a single distracting mark on Antony's cheek, a weak strike in the eagle's feathers, or diminished cartwheel luster can prevent it from reaching the elite MS67 or MS68 levels. Proof examples undergo similar scrutiny, with experts examining mirrored fields, frosted devices, and the presence of any microscopic hairlines or spotting. Unlike older copper coins, Susan B. Anthony dollars are generally not classified using brown, or red color designations because their copper-nickel-clad surfaces age differently. Instead, specialists focus on brilliance, originality, tunning quality, and eye appeal. Natural rainbow tunning can occasionally enhance desirability, while artificial cleaning, polishing, or chemical alteration almost always reduces collector confidence. A certified Type 2 proof, in exceptional condition, has sold for well over $1,600, while premium mint state circulation strikes certified at the highest levels have exceeded $2,900 when outstanding eye appeal and rarity aligned with strong market demand. The pursuit of varieties and mint eras adds another fascinating dimension to collecting the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar. Specialists search for doubled dies, repunched mint mark characteristics on certain early dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and dramatic die cracks that develop during production. Most coins encountered in circulation display no significant errors, but authenticated examples featuring major minting anomalies can attract substantial attention whenever they appear at auction. Likewise, the coveted Type 2 Clear S proof remains the variety most collectors hope to identify correctly, since its distinctive mint mark continues to command a premium over the more common Type 1. Values vary considerably depending on grade and certification, with outstanding authenticated examples often selling in the $2,300 to $3,800 range, while extraordinary registry-quality coins or spectacular mint eras have realized considerably stronger prices. Those exceptional results should never be interpreted as typical for every 1979 dollar. However, because each coin is judged individually according to authenticity, preservation, rarity, and the level of competition among collectors at the time of sale. Authentication has become increasingly important as modern counterfeiting techniques continue to improve. Although the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar is not among the most frequently counterfeited American coins, deceptive replicas and altered pieces occasionally appear in the marketplace, particularly online. Experienced numismatists begin by verifying the coin's weight, diameter, edge reads, metallic appearance, and overall strike characteristics before examining the mint mark under magnification. Genuine proof coins should display deeply mirrored fields and sharply defined frosted devices unless impaired by mishandling, while authentic circulation strikes exhibit consistent luster patterns produced during minting. Collectors are encouraged to compare suspicious pieces with certified examples or submit valuable coins to respected third-party grading services for professional authentication. Proper storage is equally important because fingerprints, humidity, PVC residue from soft plastic holders, and abrasive cleaning can permanently damage the surfaces. Archival quality, inert holders, stable humidity, and careful handling by the edges remain the safest methods for preserving originality, which is often one of the most valuable attributes a coin can possess decades after leaving the mint. Today, the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar occupies a unique position within modern American numismatics because it combines historic significance, multiple collectible varieties, and an enduring connection to one of the nation's most influential reformers. Interest has remained strong among both experienced specialists and newer collectors who appreciate the coin's accessible history and the challenge of locating premium quality examples. Auction records continue to demonstrate that the market consistently rewards certified coins exhibiting exceptional preservation, scarce varieties, or remarkable mint errors, while ordinary examples generally trade at far more modest levels. This distinction reinforces one of the most important lessons in coin collecting. Identical dates and mint marks do not guarantee identical value. Instead, every coin tells its own story through its condition, originality, strike quality, rarity, certification, and provenance. The 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar, therefore, stands not only as the first United States circulating coin to honor a real woman, but also as a lasting reminder that careful research, informed evaluation, and professional authentication remain the foundation of successful numismatic collecting. Next coin. The 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar is a coin that many people once overlooked, yet decades later it has become an important piece of modern American numismatic history. Carrying the small D mint mark from the Denver Mint, this dollar represents a major transition in United States coinage and the nation's first attempt at creating a smaller circulating dollar for everyday use. At first glance, millions of these coins appear nearly identical, but collectors have learned that subtle differences in preservation, strike quality, originality, and rarity can dramatically change how these pieces are viewed. The story of this coin is not only about a new dollar denomination, but also about the challenges of introducing a historic design into American commerce. As we explore the history of the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar, we will uncover why collectors continue to study this issue, what factors determine its true collector value, and what authenticated examples have achieved in the marketplace when exceptional qualities separate them from ordinary survivors. The creation of the Susan B. Anthony dollar came during a period of economic change in the United States. By the late 1970s, inflation had increased production costs, and the large Eisenhower dollar introduced in 1971 was proving unpopular for daily transactions because of its size and weight. Government officials believed a smaller dollar coin could work better in vending machines, public transportation systems, and everyday commerce. The idea was to create a practical replacement that would be easier for Americans to carry while reducing dependence on dollar bills. At the same time, the country was experiencing important social changes, and lawmakers wanted the new coin to represent American history in a meaningful way. Susan B. Anthony, a leading advocate for women's voting rights during the 19th century, was selected as the first real woman to appear on a circulating United States coin. Her image represented decades of activism, determination, and the eventual achievement of the 19th Amendment, which granted women the constitutional right to vote in 1920. The Denver Mint became one of the major production facilities responsible for bringing this historic coin into circulation, and the D mint mark became the identifying feature showing where these dollars were manufactured. The physical design of the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar reflects both practicality and symbolism. The coin measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, weighs 8.1 grams, and has a reeded edge designed to discourage counterfeiting while giving the coin a distinctive feel. Unlike earlier silver dollars, the Anthony dollar contains no precious metal. Its composition is a copper core surrounded by outer layers made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, creating the familiar silver-colored appearance of modern-clad coinage. The obverse design was created by United States Mint chief engraver Frank Gasparo, featuring a portrait of Susan B. Anthony facing right, with the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust surrounding her image. The date appears below the portrait, and the Denver Mint mark is located near the bust area. The reverse design continues the theme of American achievement by showing an eagle landing on the moon while carrying an olive branch, a design originally connected to the Apollo 11 mission. This combination linked Susan B. Anthony's contribution to American democracy with the nation's exploration achievements, creating a coin filled with historical symbolism despite its relatively short circulation life. The Denver Mint produced a substantial number of Susan B. Anthony dollars in 1979, with a mintage of 288,015,744 coins. Because of this large production total, the 1979 D dollar is generally considered a common issue in circulated condition. However, collectors understand that mintage alone does not determine rarity. The true challenge is finding examples that survived decades with exceptional surfaces, strong strikes, and original mint appearance. Many coins entered circulation immediately after release and suffered scratches, contact marks, and wear from everyday use. Others were stored in bags or rolls, where thousands of coins rubbing together created small abrasions that lowered their grade potential. Professional grading services evaluate these coins using the Sheldon numerical scale, with mint state grades beginning at MS60 for uncirculated examples and increasing through higher levels such as MS65, MS66, and beyond. At the upper levels, small differences become extremely important. A coin with brilliant luster, sharp lettering, clean fields, and minimal marks can attract serious collector attention. Unlike copper coins, Susan B. Anthony dollars are not normally described with traditional red or brown color classifications, so collectors focus more heavily on surface quality, original shine, strike strength, and overall eye appeal. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1979 D Susan B. Anthony dollar is how collectors evaluate quality within a common modern coin series. Two examples with the same date and mint mark can have completely different levels of desirability. A typical circulated example may only hold modest collector interest, but a high-grade certified specimen with exceptional preservation can become much more competitive among specialists. Collectors often search for coins displaying strong details in Anthony's hair, clear lettering, and well-defined design elements on the eagle's side. Coins with proof-like surfaces, unusual brilliance, or exceptional strike characteristics can receive additional attention, although these qualities must be verified carefully. The market for premium examples depends heavily on certification, population reports, and how many comparable coins exist at the same grade level. Some authenticated high-grade 1979 D Susan B. Anthony dollars have traded in the area of $1,200 to $2,600 when their condition and rarity within the grading population justified stronger demand. These results do not represent every 1979 D dollar because most examples remain common, but they demonstrate why experienced collectors examine even familiar coins carefully. Beyond condition, collectors also pay close attention to possible mint errors and unusual characteristics created during the manufacturing process. Modern coin production involves thousands of individual steps, including planchet preparation, die creation, striking pressure, and quality inspection. Occasionally, mistakes can occur, creating coins that differ from normal examples. For the 1979 D Susan B. Anthony dollar, collectors may encounter interest in authentic errors such as dramatic off-center strikes, clipped planchets, doubled design elements, or other unusual production anomalies. However, authentication is essential because damage after a coin leaves the mint can sometimes resemble a true mint error. A genuine error must show characteristics consistent with the minting process and should be evaluated by experienced specialists or professional grading services. Counterfeit awareness is also important, especially as online marketplaces make rare coins easier to buy and sell. Collectors should examine the weight, dimensions, edge details, surface texture, and mint mark appearance while comparing questionable coins with verified examples. Professional certification provides additional confidence because experts examine authenticity, grade, and overall condition before assigning a numerical evaluation. Preserving a 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar properly can make a significant difference in maintaining its future collector appeal. Many coins that were valuable because of their original condition lost desirability after improper handling, cleaning, or storage. Collectors should avoid touching the surfaces directly with bare fingers, as oils and moisture can create long-term damage. Instead, coins should be handled by the edges and stored in archival quality holders designed specifically for long-term preservation. Soft plastic materials containing harmful chemicals can damage surfaces over time, so collectors often choose inert holders, certified slabs, or proper coin storage systems. For high-grade examples, maintaining stable environmental conditions away from extreme humidity, temperature changes, and contaminants is essential. When exceptional coins appear at auctions, buyers often compete not simply because of the date and mint mark, but because of the combination of history, rarity, condition, and visual appeal. Some premium certified examples have reached values approaching the $3,000 to $4,000 range when they represented outstanding quality, rare circumstances, or strong collector competition. But such results belong to exceptional coins rather than ordinary pieces found in circulation. The 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar remains one of the most important modern American coins because it represents a moment when the nation attempted to redefine what a circulating dollar could be. Although the public struggled to accept the new smaller dollar and production of the series ended after only a few years, the coin's historical importance has continued to grow among collectors. It introduced millions of Americans to the image of Susan B. Anthony and created a lasting connection between coinage, social progress, and national identity. Today, collectors appreciate the 1979 D issue not because every example is rare, but because exceptional examples reveal the fascinating details hidden within a widely produced coin. The difference between an ordinary survivor and a highly desirable collectible is determined by careful examination, professional authentication, preservation, grading, and market demand. The 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar serves as a reminder that even modern coins can hold important stories, and that true numismatic value comes from understanding the history and characteristics that make each individual piece unique. Next up, look closely at this coin. At first glance, it appears to be just another piece of pocket change, perhaps a slightly oversized quarter that found its way into your pocket. But for a select group of numismatic investigators, the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar minted in Philadelphia is a fascinating puzzle. It's a coin born from a moment of national crisis and ambition, designed to be the future of American currency, yet it was rejected by the public almost immediately. We are going to examine this piece not just as a relic of the past, but as a subject of modern-day treasure hunting. Later in this documentary, we will uncover what makes specific examples of this coin the target of serious collectors, and why some, under the right conditions, can achieve impressive values that few would expect from such an ordinary-looking piece of change. As we begin our investigation, we must understand the climate that produced this coin. The late 1970s were a time of economic upheaval in the United States, marked by high inflation and a push for government efficiency. The bulky Eisenhower dollar, while popular with some collectors, was a failure in commerce. It was too large and heavy for everyday use. The Treasury Department saw the answer in a smaller, lighter dollar coin, one that could save the government millions in production costs compared to the ever-short-lived paper dollar. This was the vision, a coin that would be convenient, cost-effective, and a symbol of progress. So on October 10, 1978, President Jimmy Carter signed the bill into law, and the race was on to produce over 500 million of these new dollars before their public release in July 1979. The first production strike for this ambitious project took place right here in Philadelphia. Now let's focus on this specific artifact in front of us. We can identify it as a Philadelphia minted coin by the small but crucial letter P located just to the right of Susan B. Anthony's neck. The tiny mint mark is our first clue in this investigation, the key to unlocking its story. The Philadelphia Mint was not just one of 3 facilities producing this coin. It was the primary engine of production, responsible for staggering 360,222,000 pieces. This massive mintage immediately tells any seasoned collector that while this coin is a first-year issue from the main mint, it is not inherently rare. The metal composition of the coin is what the US Mint calls cupronickel clad, a layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving it a weight of 8.1 grams and a diameter of 26.5 millimeters, with a reeded edge just like a quarter. This similarity in size and appearance was a fatal flaw that would define its legacy. The design itself, however, is a piece of American artistry. The obverse features the portrait of Susan B. Anthony, the first time a real, non-mythical woman was depicted on a circulating US coin, a monumental moment in numismatic history. Chief engraver Frank Gasparo was responsible for this design, and the reverse, which depicts an American eagle landing on the moon, an adaptation of the Apollo 11 mission insignia that had previously appeared on the Eisenhower dollar. The decision to reuse this lunar imagery was meant to connect the new small dollar to its predecessor, but it further tied the coin to a past design. The coin also features an 11-sided inner border on both sides. This was an attempt by the mint to create a distinctive tactile feel, allowing the visually impaired to distinguish it from other coins. But in a strange irony, the very feature meant to make it unique was one of the design quirks collectors now scrutinize. So what makes a 1979p Susan B. Anthony dollar worth more than its face value? This is where our investigation gets interesting. The answer lies not in its metal, but in its details. For an experienced numismatist, the first thing you examine is the strike quality and surface preservation, the overall eye appeal of the coin. Because of the massive mintage, most examples circulated widely, showing wear patterns on Anthony's cheek and the eagle's high points. But uncirculated examples are where the real story begins. For a coin to be desirable, it needs to have survived in a state of near-perfect preservation, with its original mint luster intact and free from blemishes. This is where grading standards become crucial, with professional services like PCGS and NGC assigning a numerical score. A coin in mint state 65, MS65, is a beautiful, high-quality coin, while a specimen in MS67 or MS68 represents the absolute pinnacle of survival. The value difference is immense, as the population rarity at these top grades is incredibly low. Furthermore, we must discuss the mint errors and die varieties that can turn a common coin into a collector's prize. In 1979, the mint used different dies, and early in the production year, the rim was narrower, meaning the date was positioned further from the edge. This is the famous wide rim or near-date variety. Collectors hunt for this specific look, and it has a significantly higher premium than the later narrow rim issue. Another fascinating area is the filled mint mark. Imperfections in the die, often due to grease or debris, could fill in the letter P or D, causing it to appear as a weak or blobby strike. A coin with a dramatic mint error, like an obverse die break, becomes an even more valuable anomaly. Authentication is critical here. A genuine error on a genuine coin is a treasure, but a counterfeiter could easily try to fake these details, which is why certified, slabbed coins are the gold standard. Let's be clear on the reality of value. While most 1979p dollars are worth $1 or $2, a pristine example in an MS68 grade has an estimated value of around $10,000 due to its extreme rarity. The record sale for a standard MS65 coin reached $3,819. The prestigious wide rim variety has seen auction records of nearly $7,000 for an MS67 example. These extraordinary prices are not the value of every coin with this date and mint mark. They belong only to authenticated, high-grade, rare variety examples. The journey of the Susan B. Anthony dollar, from a celebrated dollar of the future to a derided Carter quarter, makes it a symbol of a specific moment in American history. For the careful observer, its true worth is found in its fascinating contradictions and the hidden details waiting to be discovered. Last coin. The 1980p Susan B. Anthony dollar represents a fascinating crossroads in American numismatics. A coin born from a congressional mandate that was already losing its luster, by the second year of production. After a first year that saw the Philadelphia Mint produce an astronomical 360 million of these pieces, the 1980 mintage from the same facility plummeted to just 27,610,000, a staggering 92% reduction that signaled to collectors that the grand experiment with the miniature dollar had already gone terribly wrong. While countless Americans have seen or even spent coins like this, few understand why a carefully preserved example has captivated the attention of serious numismatic researchers. The public's rejection of the coin was so swift and decisive that by 1980, the Mint had dramatically scaled back production, unintentionally creating the very conditions that would eventually make high-grade examples of this issue a target for dedicated collectors, a mystery we will unravel as we examine the details of this fascinating artifact. To truly understand the 1980p Susan B. Anthony dollar, we must immerse ourselves in the economic and political climate that shaped its destiny. The late 1970s were a period of crippling inflation and a crisis of confidence in American institutions, and the cumbersome Eisenhower dollar had become a symbol of government inefficiency, too bulky for vending machines and too heavy for pocket use. The Treasury saw salvation in a smaller, lighter coin, one that would save millions in production costs and replace the short-lived paper dollar, which typically wore out within 18 months. When the legislation for the new coin was signed into law by President Carter on October 10, 1978, the goal was to flood the nation with over 500 million coins before the public release in July 1979. This aggressive strategy was meant to ensure an adequate national supply, but it ultimately created an unprecedented stockpile that would weigh down the coin's value for decades, making the search for genuinely rare, well-struck specimens an exercise in advanced numismatic detective work. As we hold this coin under the light, we are examining a creation of chief engraver Frank Gasparo, an artist whose work would become a point of contention among both the public and collectors. The obverse features the iconic portrait of Susan B. Anthony, a figure chosen to honor the women's suffrage movement and to serve as a constant reminder of the continuing struggle for the equality of all Americans. This marked the first time a historical, non-allegorical woman appeared on a circulating United States coin, a milestone that should have guaranteed its popularity. The reverse, however, was an adaptation of the Apollo 11 insignia, the same design that had graced the unpopular Eisenhower dollar, featuring an eagle landing on the moon with Earth in the background. To set it apart, Gasparo designed an 11-sided inner border on both sides of the coin, intending to create a distinct tactile feel for the visually impaired. But the plan for an actual hendecagon-shaped edge was abandoned due to pressure from vending machine manufacturers, a compromise that would prove catastrophic. The coin retained its reeded edge, making its size and color dangerously similar to the quarter, earning it the derisive nickname, the Carter Quarter. For an experienced numismatic investigator, the first clues to a coin's true potential are found in its physical properties and surface quality. The 1980p Susan B. Anthony dollar is composed of a cupronickel-clad layer bonded to a pure copper core, weighing 8.1 grams and measuring 26.5 millimeters in diameter. While uncirculated coins are plentiful in grades up to Mint State 64, finding an example that has survived in a state of near-perfect preservation is where the search becomes genuinely competitive. In Mint State 65, the coin becomes noticeably more difficult to locate, but the real threshold of scarcity is crossed at Mint State 67, where fewer than 500 specimens are estimated to exist. The original mint luster, the cartwheel effect that rotates across the surface when the coin is tilted, is often the first thing to diminish in a circulated example, and professional graders at PCGS and NGC scrutinize this luster alongside the strike quality, the sharpness of the details, from the stars around the rim to the folds in Anthony's gown. This is why certified examples, encapsulated in a tamper-proof holder, are the gold standard for serious collectors. This is also where the allure of the die variety and mint era begins to transform a common coin into a specialized treasure. The 1980p issue unlike its 1979 counterpart, does not have a prominent, wide rim variety, but it is not without its own eccentricities. There are documented instances of filled dies, where grease or debris fills the recesses of the die, causing the mint mark or parts of the design to appear weak or blobby, and in some cases, striking errors where a coin is struck off-center can command a significant premium. Authentication is paramount in these cases, as the line between a genuine mint error and post-mint damage can be razor-thin. The market is filled with coins that have been harshly cleaned or artificially altered, and only a certified coin offers the buyer any real assurance of its authenticity, an essential step for the collector looking to invest in the exceptional examples that command the highest premiums. Let's cut through the noise and address the reality of the market for this coin. While the vast majority of 1980p dollars are only worth their face value or a modest premium, the narrative changes dramatically at the highest echelons of preservation. An ordinary circulated piece is rarely worth more than a few dollars, but an authenticated example graded in Mint State 67 can command an estimated $150, representing a significant return on a coin that, in lower grades, is often found in circulation. The price guide estimates for MS-67 specimens reflect the extreme scarcity of these high-grade survivors. Extraordinary examples in the top tier of MS-68, of which fewer than a dozen are believed to exist, would command sums that place them among the most valuable modern coins of their era. It is crucial to emphasize that these impressive figures are not a guarantee for every coin with the same date and mint mark. They represent the pinnacle of rarity, where perfect preservation and exceptional eye appeal combine to create a numismatic trophy. The journey of the 1980p Susan B. Anthony dollar is a testament to the principle that in numismatics, failure can sometimes be the mother of rarity. The coin's public rejection, its similarity to the quarter, and the government's decision to drastically curb production after the first year created a fascinating dynamic. While the coin is ubiquitous in circulated grades, the survival of pristine, uncirculated specimens from the 1980 mintage is far more limited than the total numbers suggest. For the dedicated collector, the hunt for a superb example of this issue is not just about acquiring an artifact from a bygone era of economic struggle. It is a search for a coin that escaped the hands of a skeptical public, preserving the original beauty and intent of Frank Gasparo's design long after the government had given up on its success. As we conclude this investigation, the 1980p Susan B. Anthony dollar stands as a profound lesson in the art of careful observation. The coin that most people dismiss as a failed experiment is, for the advanced numismatist, a canvas for understanding the interplay of history, economics, and minting technology. The value is not in the metal, but in the story it tells and the condition in which it has survived. Whether you are examining the fields for signs of luster, the stars for a perfect strike, or the edges for any sign of an imperfection, every detail matters. The most rewarding treasures are often hidden in plain sight, waiting for the investigator who knows exactly where to look and what to see.